In terms of participation of ministers and vice ministers, we have around 60 coming from all over the world, which is a nice indication of the continued interest in this issue of nuclear security. You saw there's a declaration, a ministerial declaration, which was just approved. So I would be glad to take your questions or comments about that, or any other thing that you would like to talk about. It's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you. I'm in your hands.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes.
All right, I'll open things up by sticking to topic. Jonathan Tyrone with Bloomberg News. The IAEA and NEA often talk about the systems cost of non-nuclear power generators, like renewables, the systems cost of intermittency and the additional cost of grid operation.
Yeah.
This conference seems to underscore there's a systems cost to nuclear power as well. There's a lot of money being spent upstairs. The U.S. spent $51 million over the last few years in security. What is the systems cost of nuclear power in order to adequately account for security and other concerns, safety concerns?
It's an excellent question. I think that when you look into the costs of any industrial activity, let alone nuclear industry or nuclear generation, the issue of take petrochemical or chemical or pharmaceutical or any other industry, there is an increased awareness, I would say, in a context. I was mentioning in my opening remarks that we, of course, live in a world of uncertainties where it is clear that the increased risks of non-state actors, terrorism, by any other word, makes these activities as a target, or more than a target, perhaps a useful vehicle for these people to cause harm. I believe that you could not, the way you put your question, Jonathan, I don't think there has been a systemic study of this like you would have in terms of energy cost naked, proper. But I guess it's a valid point. My impression, though, is that the costs so far are minimal compared with what you have in terms of electricity generation around the world. And this is not necessarily a good comment. What I mean is that there is a lot which is needed. In terms of costs, it depends of the model countries are adopting. Some are relying on international cooperation. Many, in fact, are relying on that. You were referring to the American contribution to that. They are very concerned, so hence they give money for that. The European Union does it as well. So there are many doing that. But I think I was also saying that nuclear security is no longer a good to have. Is something that you really need if you're a serious actor in the nuclear world, either by having nuclear power plants or research activities. You cannot go about your activities being a responsible government, I would say, without looking into these matters. Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, Francois.
Sorry to change the tone, but just want to focus on Dr. Saleh's statement for Iran. He mentioned a couple of things. One, he mentioned the particular security risks that Iran faces. He mentioned things that we don't normally talk about here, so Stuxnet, the security of Iranian scientists. Is that something that's come up in discussions with the Iranians with you? Is that something that's relevant to discussions here? And secondly, presumably you're going to meet him. When's that going to happen? What message will you send or give him when you meet him?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. The first thing I think the ministers themselves have addressed, if you look at the declaration they have just approved, there's a full part of it which addresses cyber threats and the existence of this new element which has appeared. So I think they are themselves addressing this and recognizing that there is a problem there, and that we have to look into that. I mean, in fact, we are we are, as you know, the agency has been working a lot on this. We are providing technical advice, support. There are meetings, symposia. I mean, there are lots of activities. Regarding a meeting with Dr. Salehi, yeah, I think it's in my agenda. Of course, we know each other for many, many years, and it will be a pleasure to see him again now in my new capacity. So I'm sure we will have a discussion on everything which is in front of us. I don't have a particular message for him. I think we need to sit down. It will be our first opportunity. I've seen other, as you know, I've seen other Iranian officials, but not him. So it's important that we see each other and we start working in earnest. There's a lot to do.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Hello, Mr. Grossi, Homaleski from Press TV. Concerning your relationship right now with Iran,
yes.
Could you assess in your words the level of your interaction or cooperation with Iranians? We know you also had an earlier meeting, for instance, with Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister,
yes.
and now the meeting with Mr. Salehi that's expected to take place. Can you tell us how you assess this cooperation since you took office in December when it comes to Iran answering questions and, you know, all the issues that are outstanding or questions that are outstanding being responded to from the side of Iran?
Yes. Well, yeah, indeed. It's a work in progress. I mean, work is ongoing. It cannot stop, quite clearly. There are a number of things that have to do, as you know, with the implementation of the JCPOA on the one hand, and also there are other, more permanent safeguards obligations that the Islamic Republic has and on which we are working. As you know, this is no secret, we are engaging with Iran in trying to clarify a number of issues, and we are still in that process. We haven't reached a point yet where we have received, according to our technical judgment, a complete assessment of what is going on. So I'm really looking forward in this context to continue engaging with the Iranian authorities at the highest possible level. I think is very important, so we can rest assured that we understand each other well, and that I, at least as Director General, can convey to them with clarity my assessment of the situation and my expectation from them. So to continue to have this type of dialogue is, I would say, indispensable, really, at this point. Thank you.